This is the continuation of the most terrifying 48 hours of my life. Part 1 ended with me standing in my barn, staring at the baby creature I'd pulled from the river, something that looked like a twisted hybrid between human infant and goat. And outside my barn in the pre-dawn darkness, something massive was making sounds that were half bleat, half roar, clearly searching for what I'd taken. The father had come looking for his child. And I had no idea whether I'd just saved something that needed protection or stolen something from a parent that would kill me to get it back. If you haven't watched Part 1, stop immediately and watch it first. Nothing that follows will make sense without that context. For those continuing, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to this channel immediately. Download this video the second it finishes because Part 1 was taken down 3 times within 12 hours of posting. And what I'm about to reveal in this conclusion is even more dangerous to share. What the father did when he found me, what he communicated, and what I learned about these creatures that has haunted me for 6 months. This is information that someone doesn't want public. Preserve it however you can. My name is Marcus Trent. I'm 34 years old. I live on 40 acres in rural Kentucky, right on the edge of Daniel Boone National Forest. 6 months ago, I pulled what I thought was a drowning animal from the river that runs through my property. It turned out to be something else. Something that shouldn't exist. A baby Goatman. And 24 hours after I saved it, the father came looking for what I'd taken. This is what happened when he found me. I stood in my barn, frozen, listening to those sounds get closer. The baby creature was in a livestock pen I'd set up with blankets and a heat lamp, sleeping fitfully after I'd spent hours cleaning it, feeding it warm milk from a bottle, treating the cuts and bruises it had sustained in the river. It looked peaceful, vulnerable, and outside, something that was definitely its parent was systematically searching my property, making sounds that were clearly calls, clearly looking for a response from the infant I'd taken. My rifle was in the corner of the barn. I could grab it, could prepare to defend myself, could shoot whatever came through that door if it proved aggressive. But looking at that sleeping infant, I couldn't shake the thought, what if this was just a parent looking for their child? What if the sounds outside weren't threats but desperation? What if I'd accidentally kidnapped someone's baby? The sound stopped. Complete silence for maybe 30 seconds. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Heavy, deliberate, approaching the barn. Not trying to be stealthy anymore. Just walking directly toward where I was hiding with what I now understood was its child. The barn door, the one I'd carefully locked from inside, rattled. Once. Twice. Testing whether it would open. Then silence again. And then a sound I'll never forget. A voice. Deep, guttural. Struggling with sounds that weren't designed for its vocal anatomy, but unmistakably forming words. Give back. My child. Give back. I nearly collapsed. Because whatever was outside wasn't just an animal. Wasn't just a creature operating on instinct. It was conscious. It was intelligent. It was a parent asking for its child back in the only way it could manage. And I had that child in a pen 10 feet from where I was standing. I didn't steal your child, I called out, my voice shaking. I saved it. It was drowning in the river. I pulled it out. I've been taking care of it. Silence. Then, open. Door. Return. My child. How do I know you won't hurt me? You have my child. You could have killed. Did not. You saved. I will not hurt. Open. Door. I need you to stop here and comment. Tell me what you would have done. Would you have opened that door? Would you have trusted a creature you'd never seen, that by all accounts shouldn't exist, based on words spoken in broken English, through a mouth that clearly wasn't designed for speech? Comment now. Because the choice I made next led to discoveries that completely changed what I thought I knew about consciousness and intelligence in non-human beings. I unlocked the door, pulled it open slowly, and got my first clear look at what I'd been hiding from. He was massive, 7.5 feet tall, covered in dark brown fur. The body was humanoid, but wrong, too broad in the shoulders, too thick in the legs. The arms were powerful, ending in hands that had 4 thick fingers with what looked like hooves where nails should be. And the head. God, the head. It was a goat's skull structure, but scaled up enormously, with curved horns that swept back from the temples, eyes that were positioned too forward for a prey animal, suggesting predatory intelligence, and a mouth that held both flat molars and sharp canines. Omnivore teeth. Adaptation teeth. He stood in the doorway, backlit by the rising sun, and looked at me with eyes that held unmistakable consciousness, unmistakable awareness, and unmistakable fear. Not fear of me, fear for his child. I stepped aside, gestured to the pen where the infant was sleeping. He's there. I cleaned him up, fed him, made sure he was warm. He seems okay, just exhausted. The father moved past me, and I realized how careful he was being, how controlled. Despite his obvious strength and size, he was moving gently, deliberately, making sure not to bump me or knock anything over. He reached the pen, looked down at the sleeping infant, and made a sound that was pure relief, pure parental love. Then he reached down with those massive hands and picked up his child with a gentleness that was stunning to witness. The infant woke, made a small bleating sound, then saw its father and made sounds of recognition and joy. And the father held his child close, making sounds that were clearly comforting, clearly parental, clearly expressing relief that the baby was safe. I stood there watching this reunion, tears streaming down my face, because I'd been so focused on the creature aspect that I'd missed the person aspect. This wasn't a monster holding a baby monster. This was a father holding his child after thinking he'd lost them. This was family reuniting. This was love that looked different but felt universal. The father turned to face me, still holding his child. And he spoke again, the words clearer now, like he was getting better at forming them. "You've saved my son from river." Why? Because he was drowning. Because I heard him crying. Because I couldn't just let him die. Most humans would. Most humans would run, or kill, or call others to kill. You did not. You saved. Why? I didn't have a good answer. Because it was the right thing to do? Because he was a baby in trouble? I don't know. I just reacted. The father studied me for a long moment. Then he made a decision I saw happen in real time. Come with me. I show something you deserve to see, to understand. Understand what? Why we hide. Why we avoid. Why your kind never sees us. Come. He walked out of the barn, still carrying his infant son. And, after a moment of hesitation, I followed. Because I'd already crossed so many boundaries in the last 24 hours that one more seemed insignificant. Because I needed to understand what I'd encountered. Because this being had just invited me into something that felt important. We walked into the forest, following a path that was invisible to me, but clearly obvious to him. He moved with confidence through terrain that I struggled to navigate, occasionally glancing back to make sure I was keeping up. The infant was cradled against his chest, safe and secure in his father's arms. We walked for maybe 45 minutes, going deeper into the national forest than I'd ever explored. And eventually, we reached a ravine I didn't know existed, hidden by rock formations and dense vegetation, accessible only through a narrow passage that you'd never find unless you knew exactly where to look. And in that ravine was a community. Not a random collection of caves or primitive shelters. An actual community. Maybe 20 structures built into the ravine walls, constructed with sophisticated understanding of engineering and design. Made from wood, stone, and materials I didn't recognize, but that clearly served specific purposes. There was a central area that looked like a gathering space. There were smaller structures that might have been individual homes. There was what looked like a storage area, with food preserved in ways that showed planning and organization. And there were others, maybe 15 of them, all similar to the father in basic structure, but with variations in size, fur color, horn shape, including several that were clearly female based on body structure, including what looked like other juveniles and infants. A population, a society, living hidden in this ravine, completely unknown to the humans whose national forest surrounded them. The father made a loud vocalization, clearly announcing our arrival. The others stopped what they were doing and turned to look. Several made sounds of recognition when they saw the infant he was carrying. Others made sounds that were clearly alarm when they saw me, a human, in their hidden sanctuary. One of the females, larger than most of the others, with gray threading through her dark fur, approached quickly, made urgent sounds to the father, clearly asking questions. He responded with vocalizations I couldn't interpret, gesturing to me, then to the infant. The female looked at me with an expression I couldn't quite read, then reached out and took the infant from the father's arms, examining it carefully, checking for injuries. The father turned to me. This is family. This is community. This is what you saved. Not just child. You saved bloodline, hope, future. I don't understand. Sit. I explain. You deserve to know. We sat on a large flat rock near the central gathering area. The others kept their distance, watching warily, but didn't interfere. And the father, I desperately wanted to know his name, but didn't know how to ask, began explaining in his broken, difficult English. We are satyrs. Old name. From before your kind had writing. We were once many. Lived alongside humans. In mountains. In forests. In places between. We were peaceful. We grew food. Made art. Raised families. Coexisted. But humans changed. Became afraid. Started calling us demons. Devils. Started hunting us. Killing us. Your religions. Made U.S. symbols of evil. Made our form representation of Satan. Made our existence proof of demons. Propaganda. Lies. But effective. We went into hiding. Deeper forests. Remote mountains. Places humans rarely go. And we became stories. Legends. Goatman. Satyr. Devil. Monster. Names humans gave us. Names that justified hunting us. Made us not people. Made us things. He gestured to the ravine around us. This is all that remains. Of thousands. Maybe 15,000 years ago. Now maybe 100. In all world. Maybe less. We are dying. Not from predators. Not from disease. From hiding. From isolation. From breeding population too small. From having no future. My son. The one you saved. He is first infant born in 3 years. In this community. Only infant. He represents hope. That maybe we continue. Maybe we survive. Few more generations. And when he fell in river. When current took him. I thought hope died. I thought future ended. Then you saved him. Human saved. Satyr infant. First time in my life. First time, maybe in generations. Human chose to help instead of hurt. Chose to save instead of kill. Why? I shook my head. Because he was a baby. Because babies shouldn't drown in rivers. Because I didn't think about what you were. I just saw someone who needed help. The father was quiet for a long moment. That is answer we needed. For a long time we debate. Are all humans evil? Or just most humans? Can we ever coexist? Or must we hide forever until extinction? You give answer. Some humans still see life as life. Still have compassion. Still choose right over convenient. One of the younger ones approached. Male may be equivalent to a teenager in human terms. He made sounds to the father, clearly asking questions. The father responded, then turned to me. He asks if you will tell, if you will bring others, if you will reveal us. I won't. I promise. I won't tell anyone about this place, about your community, about what you are. Why? You could become famous, prove we exist, make money, get attention. Why keep secret? Because you asked me to. Because you deserve to live without being hunted or studied or turned into some scientific curiosity. Because some secrets are worth keeping. The father made a sound that might have been approval or might have been relief. You understand. Most humans would not. Most would see opportunity, see discovery, see personal gain. You see people, see family, See beings who deserve privacy. This is rare. This is valuable. Over the next few hours, he showed me more of their community, their food storage systems, showing sophisticated understanding of preservation, their water collection methods, using natural materials to filter and store, their art carved into the ravine walls, showing history, showing culture, showing a civilization that had existed long before modern humans developed writing. We had cities once, he explained, before humans hunted us. We had agriculture, trade, art, everything your kind has now. We had first. But we chose peace over conquest, sustainability over expansion, balance over growth. And that made us vulnerable, made us easy to push aside, easy to eliminate. Your kind chose differently, chose expansion, chose domination, chose growth without limits. And that made you powerful, made you spread across world, made you dominant species, but also made you unstable, made your civilization fragile, based on growth that cannot continue, based on resources that will run out, based on balance destroyed. We watch, we see, we know your civilization approaching collapse. Maybe 50 years, maybe 100, but coming. And when it collapses, when your cities fail, when your systems break, we will still be here, still living in balance, still surviving sustainably, still continuing while your kind learns or dies. The weight of those words settled over me. You're saying humanity is doomed? Not doomed, challenged. You must choose. Continue path of destruction, or relearn what we never forgot. How to live with planet, how to take only what needed, how to exist without destroying. Choice is yours, but time is short. The infant, the one I'd saved, had woken up and was being tended by the female who'd taken him. She brought him over to where we were sitting, made sounds to the father. He took the infant, held him gently, then offered him to me. Hold. You saved his life. Should know what you saved. I took the infant carefully, cradling him the way you'd hold any baby. He looked up at me with those strange eyes, so intelligent for something so young, made a small sound that might have been curiosity, reached up with one tiny hand and touched my face, exploring, learning. He will remember you, the father said. When he grows, when he has own children, he will remember the human who saved him, who kept him safe, who returned him to family. And he will teach his children that not all humans are dangerous, that some can be trusted, that maybe someday coexistence possible. I hope so. I really hope so. I stayed with them for another hour, met several others of their community, learned some of their vocalizations, though I could never reproduce them properly, saw more of their art, their history, their culture, and gradually understood that what I'd encountered wasn't a monster, wasn't a cryptid or creature, was a person, was a people, was a civilization that had been forced into hiding by human fear and violence. When it was time to leave, the father walked me back to the edge of their territory, stopped at the point where the forest returned to familiar terrain. Thank you, he said, the words coming easier now, for saving my son, for keeping secret, for seeing us as people, not monsters. This is gift. This is rare. Thank you for trusting me, for showing me your community, for helping me understand. One more thing. He reached into a pouch I hadn't noticed before, pulled out something wrapped in leaves. Take. This is our way. When someone saves family member, we give gift. Show gratitude. Keep this. Remember us. Remember we exist. Remember we are people. I unwrapped the leaves. Inside was a small carved figure, made from wood that had been polished until it gleamed. It depicted a satyr holding a human hand. Coexistence, friendship, hope. I'll remember. I promise. He nodded once, then turned and disappeared into the forest, moving silently despite his size, vanishing into terrain that would hide him and his people from the humans who'd driven them to the edge of extinction. That was 6 months ago. I still have the carved figure. Keep it on my desk where I see it every day. A reminder of what I learned. A reminder that consciousness takes forms we don't expect. That intelligence and culture and family exist in beings we've labeled as monsters. That our fear and our religions and our need to categorize everything as good or evil has led us to hunt and exterminate people who were here long before us and who deserve existence as much as we do. I've kept my promise. Haven't told anyone about their location. Haven't revealed details that could lead searchers to their ravine. Haven't endangered the last 100 or so members of a species that once numbered in the thousands. But I'm sharing this story, this testimony, because people need to know they exist. Need to know they're people, not monsters. Need to know that we've been wrong about them for thousands of years. Need to know that extinction is coming for them unless we change how we think about non-human consciousness. Hit that like button one final time. Subscribe. Download both parts of this story. Share it widely, but carefully. Because this testimony could save a species or condemn it depending on how it's used. I saved a baby goatman from the river. The next day, the father showed up. And what he showed me, what he taught me, changed everything I thought I knew about monsters and people and the line between them. They're not monsters. They're satyrs. They're people. They're a dying civilization that deserves to survive. And we're the ones who've been hunting them for thousands of years based on fear and lies. My name is Marcus Trent. This is what happened. This is what I learned. And this is why I'm speaking now, despite the risks. Because some truths are too important to keep hidden. Even if sharing them might lead to consequences I can't predict. They exist. They're conscious. They're people. And they're dying because we refuse to see them as anything except monsters. That needs to change before it's too late for all of them.